along with my husband, we own 7 mobile home parks, and that's what he does full time, and I'm his sidekick. So I want to first thank the library for letting us be here. They come in early, they let us in, and they do this all for us for free, so we really appreciate that. And the coffee sponsor, Sue, what's the name of their business?
It's the shop.
And it's, I know, I just saw they've opened another location,
Yep.
but I know of the one down in the south end right by Nottoway Valley Bank. And they've opened another one on the avenue.
St. Joe Avenue and Fifth Ave.
So they did the coffee for us for free. Every month we have coffee sponsors that provide the coffee free of charge for us because we have no money. So, next week is book club. So don't forget about next week's book club. Isn't it next week?
2 weeks.
No,
I was
it's
like, the
not.
month's over.
Yes,
No, it's not next week. What is the book? Let's talk about it.
The AI Edge.
Yeah, because I was trying to get the quick version. So, I think that covers it for now. We're going to go ahead and get Kyle up here with titanium cards. And I'm sorry Kyle's not on the sheet. He agreed to this at the last minute for us. I really appreciate it. You don't have to. Most people just go down here.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So I want to start off by asking you, when you think of failure, what do you think of? So a lot of people think that that's the end of the road, or maybe that they weren't quite good enough. For me, it was the exact opposite. For me, failure was kind of like my tuition. It taught me a lot of stuff that I didn't know prior. Can I get this thing to work?
Point it to the computer.
Does it each or not? Because like it was I might have not done that.
There we go.
So about my company is called Titanium Cards. Currently we have 11 full-time employees.
Wow.
And we just opened up less than a year ago. When I mention that, a lot of times people think maybe it's an overnight success story, but it's far from that. I've ran several businesses in the past. I had a kayaking business when I was in college. Turns out renting inflatable kayaks to drunk college students doesn't mix very well. I also had a vending machine business. I opened that up in 2020, COVID. So going and putting vending machines in other people's businesses while people weren't out shopping, that didn't work out so very well. But what my company does, currently we focus on the sale of trading card games, primarily Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering, One Piece. You might be asking, well, how does that generate revenue? So our main focus of sale is we sell online. However, we do have a brick and mortar store. So online we use platforms like eBay, Whatnot, TCG Player. Our biggest source of revenue coming from Whatnot. Whatnot is kind of like a live auction format of eBay. We stream, we generate followers, and those followers move over to other sources like TikTok. Currently, in 6 months, we've gained 40,000 followers on our Whatnot, which has generated to most of our staff is all online shipping. That's created 7 jobs for my company. And how I got started. So I kind of first learned what entrepreneurship was in high school. You know, I'd buy trading cards, video games for my peers, and I'd go flip them on eBay after school. And being 16, having the extra money to buy an energy drink and a pizza every day, I felt like I was winning the lottery. But what this kind of taught me was kind of independency. I kind of learned that what entrepreneurship was. It never starts with a master plan, right? Most of it is just curiosity and ideas and a passion for what you do. For me, my passion was just being my own boss. You know, I liked working for myself and reaping the rewards of generating this revenue and seeing it come in. But I learned entrepreneurship isn't, it's about choosing which problems to solve. As an entrepreneur, like I am my own boss, but every day I go in and if the printer's broken down, that's my boss today. If a client declines, sends payment late or declines an email, that might be my boss today. And talking about my businesses, whenever I went to college, that let me experiment with these ideas. And each of these ideas, I learned something from. So the kayaking business, I learned that every customer is not your customer. I owned a DVD delivery rental company, so that was weird. I had a moped in college. I would drive around. People would buy DVDs for me, rent them. And it worked. I was making like $600 a week, which was great in college. But I just decided, I don't want to drive a moped every day, and also DVDs are going out of style. Vending machines, that one, that's probably one of the ones that taught me the most lessons. So during COVID, I was young. I think I was 19, 20 when I started this. I was going inside businesses, asking them, pitching them, myself, my company, and I got told no way more times than I got told yes. But that let me, no is just a word. It didn't affect me more than that. Next was t-shirt design. I did t-shirt pressing, trying to do marketing and that kind of stuff, and I just wasn't passionate about it. And as it was generating decent revenue, but that's when I learned, I want to be happy with whatever I choose to do with my career, and not just what's going to bring the money. Next, I owned a rental property. I bought a rental property in Maryville in 2021. And I'm not a landlord. I sold that a couple years back, and then finally I owned a game store. So I used to own a business here in town with my incredible partners called EXP Gaming Lounge. That business we owned for about 4 years, and that business we were able to surpass, I think, our final year, $5 million in sales. And that business taught me that revenue doesn't account for sustainability. My target market. So most of my market today is nostalgic adults. Even though Pokemon, when you hear that, it's designed for kids, age 6 to 14. However, most of my market are people between the age of 24 and 40. It's because a lot of times people grew up and were buying these cards and when they were young, didn't have the money or the capability to buy as much as they wanted. But Pokemon is the biggest intellectual property in the world. So people still keep up with the games and the TV shows, etc. And now that they have adult money, adult jobs, they can afford stuff that they couldn't when they were younger. Collectors, investors, and players. So collectors, there's a big collecting market. Kind of like, I'm sure you guys know, like sports card collecting and coin collecting. There's a lot of people that are trying to collect for each and every set, and also sealed products. And another big category is investors. So it's gonna sound weird when I say investors and talk about a Pokemon or One Piece or any trading cards. So there's a big demographic of people who invest in sealed products for Pokemon. So sealed product is stuff that's unopened out of the package. And now, as weird as that sounds, Pokemon has outperformed Bitcoin this year by 20%, outperformed the S&P 500 by 25%, and high index funds by another, I don't remember the exact percentage on that one. But if you look at a product that was bought in 2019, you could buy, the nice thing about Pokemon is their sealed product, every release is $150. In 2019, the cheapest box you can find is, I think, $600 right now, and the most expensive box is $3,000. But now if you go there's like a 4-year principle. After 4 years, the product starts moving up. And once you get past that, if you look at products from 2017, there's boxes that are $10,000. There's boxes that are, a couple $1,000s. But yeah, as I was saying, Pokemon has like one of the best track records. It has 30 years of history with the investments for sealed product, and never has it gone down. It always goes up. Even when markets dip, eventually it settles higher than it will ever settle before, and it goes up over time, which is crazy to think about. I can't name another investment that has that 30 years of history behind it. And with my company this year, so we are we're on track to hit 7 figures. By doing this, in order to do this, what we're doing is our Whatnot. So Whatnot, I kind of mentioned earlier, it's like a live streaming platform. And we just started that 3 months ago. So that's very new to our business. Before Whatnot, I had about 4 employees. And then Whatnot, basically we sell a card every 5 seconds. We have someone go on there, they talk about the card, they auction it just live in real time. And luckily that part of the business is super easy to hire out. Like, I just have to find someone who can, talk to a camera, be energetic. They don't even have to know about the cards, because you're just talking to the audience. We already have the audience catered to you, and so you're just making sure to entertain. And so that's a lot easier to find than someone who is trustworthy, that knows about cards, and also can talk. You can teach, it's a lot easier to teach that than it is to teach sales. What are we doing now? So right now we're focusing on social media growth. So our Whatnot has 40,000 followers. Our TikTok has 36,000. But we want to use like a funnel system to funnel this into like Instagram, Snapchat, and then Facebook as well. I haven't focused on Facebook marketing for my company at all, really, just because the marketing I know is with these, live video platforms. And I want the company to be able to run itself within 5 years. So we finally got to a point, luckily, in the last month, where I don't have to be there every weekend. My crew goes out and does the shows for me. We go everywhere from California, New York, Texas, Florida. They could go there without me. It's a trustworthy team behind my back. And I want to make sure that they continue to know how to run this business and the logistics behind it. That way, I can focus on something else. Because I think being an entrepreneur, I always have these ideas flowing and things I want to try. But my biggest competitor, I guess, or my biggest thing holding me back is time. You can never get more of that. That's the most valuable resource that we have. And then I want to expand on my online streaming channel. So right now we have the one channel on Whatnot, one channel on TikTok, but I'd like to dive into more channels. When I say that, it's like a different hub for people to come in and view your live stream your products. It almost acts as like a physical store, but your limitations isn't behind your population size in your town or the demographic for your product in said town. Instead, you have this potential worldwide view when people like to view your product. So, problems and challenges. Entrepreneurship isn't about avoiding problems. It's about choosing which problems that you want to solve. Like I said, even if you're not an entrepreneur, how I can relate this to you is we all kind of pay tuition, right? Like whether it's in a relationship and you find out, that's not what you want, or maybe it's a job that you find out, I don't want to do that in my life. That's a tuition that you pay for with your time. And so if you can stick with it even after it fails, instead of just walking out of the classroom before the lesson sinks in. Here's what you can do for us. So one of the things I want to focus on as well is getting to know people in my community, networking, because there's things that I don't know about business. I went to college, ended up dropping out because I enjoyed what I was doing. We opened up our store in 2021, and we were making more there than I would with my degree, so I wanted to pursue that instead of having a plan A and a plan B. Instead of leaning my back on the wall, just go all plan A. So that's what I kind of want to do is I want to get to know more people in the community, reach out to someone who knows marketing better than I do. I'm very limited with my skills on Adobe, Illustrator, and Photoshop, and then see if there's any plans that could help grow my business. I have another note. So thank you everyone for listening to my story. When I started this talk, I told you that failure has been my tuition. Looking back, every misstep, every crazy idea, every business that collapsed, they weren't dead ends, they were classes, and the truth is, I couldn't have built a company on track for 7 figures in under a year without first paying that tuition to teach me the things I didn't know. So here's my challenge to you. Don't fear failure and don't avoid it. Use it, pay the tuition, because the real failure isn't in losing money or time or pride. The real failure is paying the tuition and then walking out of class before the lesson sinks in. Thank you.
You're not done. I was like.
Okay, so with the lines of revenue that you have,
Yeah.
primarily it's through the Pokemon platform?
Yeah, so Pokemon is just our main source of revenue with the trading cards. I would say that generates about half of our revenue, maybe closer to 60-70%. But we also sell other trading card games like Magic and One Piece. But those we don't do on our live streaming platforms yet. That's something I want to expand into, having these different channels to do that with. With those, we mainly sell it online via our website or at card shows. So card shows are just like a collector circuit for people to come in. You buy tables there, you sell by
So you're selling, and then also do you have an online trading platform too?
Yeah, so at these shows, think of it kind of like a nerdy pawn shop. People come in,
Yeah.
not only they want to buy, they bring their collectors, because like, some people have a binder that's this big and $100,000 in that binder, so it's easy to transport. Maybe they want to sell a card or trade one of their cards into one of yours. Well, we trade at a percentage.
Yeah.
So say one of my cards is $5,000 and they want to buy that, and they have stuff they want to trade into it. We trade at 80%, so we're already compounding at 20% on that trade.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh yes.
So, where is your storefront, and what is the point of a storefront?
So our storefront is at 3801 Oakland Avenue, kind of by the Papa John's and the USPS. So the purpose of our storefront, with my old business, EXP Gaming Lounge, we had a 2,200 square foot building that we used. And there we would host tournaments, we'd host, people would just come in, it was free to come in and play. And the point of that was to bring people in your door to purchase. The longer they spend time in there, the more things they're going to buy. And also, if we ran tournaments, there's like an entry cost and all that. Now, looking back at that, the time spent there just wasn't really worth. That takes a lot of management. Like I have to have a whole different crew. Customer service is a lot more important rather than sales in that demographic, just because a lot of the customers that we have already kind of know what they want. And sales, there's so many different markets like video games and what people can and can't use. So now the purpose of the storefront is we still have like my main clientele that I built with that business. They come in, they still support by buying when new sets come out, because a new set comes out like every month. So it's still a revenue source where people can come in and buy those products just from us instead of, because the closest place besides me for a lot of the new stuff is Kansas City. There's another card shop here in town, but they mainly do sports. And so yeah, that's the main purpose. Let's just fill that need that's there. You had a question?
Well, I didn't have a question. I have a comment. Someone online, Tori Blevin, said, "Proud of you, Kyle. Sorry I couldn't make it. Excited to see where you go from here."
Thank you, Tori.
Okay, but to piggyback off that.
Yeah.
So you have a brick and mortar. So could someone actually physically come in and buy a card from you?
So we have,
Like you have an hours of
We
operation.
have hours of operations on Google.
Mhm.
We have a sign in front of our building as well. When you go in, we're up to 5 offices now. We have 4 that are like our online facilities, and we have 1 that's a playroom, and we have 1 that's like a retail space, which has stuff on display. That way, also there's people here still in town that want to sell cards, and we want to just make sure it is easy. Instead of meeting, at Walmart, and
Yeah.
still we can meet up. Yes.
So I get this world. I co-own Jesse James Antique
Okay.
Mall, and I put on the shows down at the Civic Arena.
Yeah.
I understand Pokemon. I'm within the years you talked about there on investment. I was actually in the Beanie Baby craze.
Oh,
I can remember
Yeah.
when Beanie Babies came out, and they roll out new ones, and we'd have lines out the antique mall door waiting to get in
Yeah.
on the rush, and people got really rich off of Beanie Babies for the longest time.
Yeah.
My question to you is, you say you got 11 employees.
Yeah.
We all know staffing is one of the largest challenges for small businesses. Tell us how you got those 11 employees. Tell us your arrangement with them.
Yeah. So-
Explain some of that.
Luckily for me, having that business before the EXP, I was able to already meet clientele that knew about the product, and then I'm the same age as my clientele, so a lot of times the shop's closing, we end up going out somewhere and get dinner with people that I related with. And when I opened this company, it was easy to reach out to them because a lot of them were still in college, or 3 of my employees just graduated this year, so they're looking for that shifting career. And there's a lot of stuff that they learn as well, because a lot of times they have their own, they know what they need to come in to do, but they have their own way of doing it. If they have to reach out to customers, they do all that themselves. So they learn a lot of marketing skills, communication, and also just being able to be independent without having to know exactly what your day-to-day plan looks like. But looking back kind of around to your question, is just knowing people and asking people. That was kind of the best, easiest way to get there. We finally hired, we have 2 employees that had no relationship with before. So that was a little bit different. I used Indeed, just going off there and just interviewing and finding someone that kind of fit the already the tone of the shop. Someone who,
Culture.
yeah, the culture, someone who would match well with us. And then we're still understaffed. I still like Tori. She's came in a couple times. She owns the Bloom business here in town, and used to own the Metropolitan. But she's came in a couple times and helped us with live streaming and everything like that. Yes.
So what percentage of your clientele is domestic versus international?
That one I don't have the exact number on. I would say most of our, I would say for here in St. Joe, our clientele is probably on like maybe 10%. U.S. it jumps up quite a bit more, about 80-90%. We don't really ship across. Shipping just gets too expensive to ship across internationally, so we turn that off on our platforms. Yes.
Switching platforms. So you said most of your top funnel revenue is coming from Whatnot right now?
Yeah.
And they've got higher fees. You take them to like a Shopify or whatever your e-commerce store is, or
So I used to have a Shopify store. The big thing with Shopify is I can't just like live stream and sell.
no, you can't.
Yeah. So that's what. Whenever we go live, we only have about 200 viewers, and so the kind of stuff we're auctioning, we're catering right now a lot towards volume rather than high-end cards. That way, if I'm selling a card that is maybe worth $3 that I paid a percentage on, all it takes is a couple people in there to swipe, and now we've gone past that. A lot of times with the viewership that we see, we're actually selling 120 to 160% over market, which is something I couldn't do with Shopify because everyone wants the cheapest deals. Everyone wants, but I think live stream, people just see cards they might not know existed.
That's most of your business comes
Yeah.
from Whatnot.
Yeah, we started Whatnot 4 months ago, and that has generated $450,000
That's
in
incredible.
revenue.
Wow.
Our other revenue is TCG Player, which that one's more like a Shopify store. So that one we list the products with a set price. People come in and shop. The big thing with that between Shopify is they do all the marketing for us.
Yeah.
That's the biggest global. It's like the eBay or Amazon for trading cards. It has the most organic clicks every month, and everyone in like my realm of the world knows about it. And then, because we tried our website, the big thing with the website is it doesn't update itself.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, things go up in this market all the time. And there's people who know that. So we might have an item listed at $10. Overnight, it jumps up to 140, and someone came in and bought everything for $10. And a lot of times, I don't want to cancel orders. I start every card at $1 on my Whatnot. And we've had $2,000 cards that we started at $1, and it's kind of just like trusting that the people
bidding
there,
war.
live bidding, we're trusting that people will be bidding into that. And if it doesn't go for quite my expectations, I don't want to get the reputation. Oh, he canceled the order. There's no trust with the buyer and or the consumer and the seller.
So you're building entirely on these live streaming shopping platforms.
Yeah.
That's
We started on TikTok because
TikTok Shop.
TikTok Shop because TikTok is definitely the best for if you're trying to grow your business. We still use TikTok, and you get the algorithm on TikTok is designed insane well. What I've came to learn is a lot of people are scared of that endless scrolling on TikTok. We kind of talked about that earlier. If you make an account and you just only like business videos or people that are in your realm, your algorithm is going to be really good at keeping that aligned, and it's also going to promote it only to those people, which is great. I built 3 TikTok accounts now, each one surpassing 10,000 followers for different businesses.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yes.
I have to ask, where did you go to high school?
Oh.
And are you from St. Joe?
No, so I went to Albany, Missouri,
Yeah.
small town. I grew up in Kansas City, moved up there when I was 12, and then I was always kind of like, I remember in my senior year, they implemented like a STEM program, like a 3D printing area, a STEM area, and I was like one of the captains that like helped teach the teachers how to use the 3D printer, which was pretty cool. And then also a guy named Seth Bennett, incredible guy that I went to high school with. We showed them the technology so that they could show the future classroom.
Well, and I'm thrilled you're in St. Joe. I hope you consider staying here. And why did you land in St. Joe?
So when I went to college in Maryville, I was gonna go for my degree. I was really split. I was gonna go down to Rolla, but then I decided, I was already selling stuff online, learning what entrepreneurship was, And I was like, well, maybe I'll go get a law degree because I interned for David Parman in Albany during high school. And so I was like, maybe I'll study business law, or wanted to be a patent attorney eventually. But then I just couldn't picture myself with how I was in college with these ideas and working for someone else. I know there's ways I could have owned my own business as a lawyer and everything, but I knew this and I didn't know that. I think the goal is to stay here in St. Joe. It's easy accessible. I ended up here because we bought out a company here in town called Game Exchange. Me and my partner, we bought that out when we were, I think we were 20. We were saving money from these other businesses. We had $10,000 saved up. We went and talked to the owner because we went in and I noticed that there were sales at like 60-70%. I was like, well, a retail business wouldn't have those sales unless they're closing or retiring. So we talked to the guy, incredible guy, Adam Solomon. We talked to him, and we had several meetings where we were kind of pitching the idea of like, hey, I don't have the $70,000 you want. I have $10,000. Maybe we could do like a consignment, pay you monthly. And then finally we had like that last call where like in realistic terms, like, I could tell by his voice he was going to let us down gently over dinner that night. So I went into, FBI mode. I looked at his Facebook. I was like, all right, what does this guy really like? Really big into the Kansas City Chiefs. Because I think his family has been season ticket holders for a while. So I was like, all right, I'm going to get a Patrick Mahomes PSA 10 card and a jacket and bring it to dinner. So I brought it to dinner with him. And then after that, I think it showed like our determination for this, and he accepted the consignment.
Well, you're very, very impressive for such a young person.
Yeah.
So tell us about your competition.
Yeah.
And how do you intend to stay ahead?
So luckily, we bonded over this a lot because when I was younger, competition, I was like, I'm going to close. I dropped out of college. I don't know what I'm going to do. But luckily now, there is talks of like someone else opening up a store in St. Joe. Their market would be I've already owned the market here in St. Joe with my physical location. I know the customer base. Already have this relationship. However, there's this need that I'm not feeling. Like people in my clientele wants a open place for people to come and play regularly. Unfortunately, I don't want to be stuck in an office, in a storefront. So when I was 20, I was working 80-hour weeks in the same store, 20 to like 24. So I really hope someone does open up a store here in St. Joe to fulfill that need. I just don't think that unless they have as much history behind the Pokemon, these trading cards, as well as the knowledge behind these platforms and the networking that I've done, I just don't think they can match our online revenue streams or be able to take away from my business because most of my stuff I buy is not here in St. Joe. It's at Kansas City, Florida, Texas. I was in Des Moines last weekend, Oklahoma the week before that, Colorado this weekend. So I don't think competition is something that I worry about anymore.
About online competition.
So there's tons of online competition, but with Pokemon being like the biggest intellectual property in the world, there's not enough consumers to buy everything. Like when I'm on TikTok or when I'm on whatnot, we're averaging these 200 viewers, but then there's other people that are averaging 200 viewers, 2,000 viewers, and whenever we go live now, we are one of the biggest shows on the platform. We generate, I have an advisor at Whatnot that tells me some of the things, but he said that our revenue is matching people who are making $5 million a month with the platform. It's just trying to get time on the platform because on there, the more time you have, is the more time to be seen. Kind of like with Facebook, I've seen people say, you want to post like Snapchat. I know that's a big thing that I'm trying to get into marketing because people post 300 stories a day on Snapchat. 10 posts a day on Instagram and Facebook. It's just because not every single one of those is going to go into your algorithm. So the more posts you have, the more chances to touch different people.
Okay, so with your live streaming, and this may sound so silly because I know nothing about it, but like, do you have set times or have you figured out your algorithms to know when to go on, or are you guys just jump on whenever? Or
figured out the metric on like what time to go on early on. It's always like that afternoon, 1 p.m. or late at night because people, when they get off work, they're done with dinner, done hanging out with their spouse, or now they're just in their bed scrolling. And so we've already figured that out, and now we have set hours of the times that we stream. We stream about 5 days a week, we only stream. Here's the big catch. Right now, our average stream time is only 15 hours a week. So when I get that to 40, 50 hours a week, that's when I think we're going to be in the 8-digit a year category.
I have a question. Like, I'm in the rental business, and I don't know if you know what a RET is, but it's, a big conglomerate of rental property, and then people invest in it, because this is a great investment.
Yeah.
Are there things like that for this type of thing too, where people are putting their money together to?
So that's something I've kind of wondered about as well. I'm not sure. I've been approached.
Keep driving the price.
Yeah.
That's what's happened with real estate.
So I know there's big corporations. Like there's a guy named Ruby. So he's the biggest influencer in like MySpace. He has maybe 2 million followers on YouTube, and he is definitely the biggest investor. If you look at his track record, he has about 3,000 boxes of every set going back to like 2010. It's estimated his portfolio is like $10 billion to $100 billion. I've wondered the idea if there's any real if this kind of investing will ever go mainstream, I guess, like where more people can give their money to someone who knows about it and then they buy stuff. Because it, like I was mentioning earlier, it outperforms. It has 30 years of history. If you fact check me, nothing's ever gone down. If you look at anything on there, it's still product. There's different types of investing too. Like you can invest in single cards. So singles is a card that you might pull out of a box. So the biggest one right now is one called Umbreon or Umbreon. It came out in 2019. That card out of the package is $2,500. And so that's a lot more risky of an investment because if you pick the wrong card, it's kind of like picking the wrong sports player. Like imagine you bought a bunch of Patrick Mahomes cards and he broke his leg. Well, now those went down. Still product will always be like the king of it.
Very good.
Awesome.